Christmas tidings. And Mr. Speaker, I know that you will hate to see us go. If you think of us over Christmas, please don't send us a video.
That is really good advice. Oral questions. Questions orales.
The Honourable Leader of the Opposition. Mr. Speaker, after 8 years, this Prime Minister is not worth the cost of debt for Canadian families. He said that the government was going to burden itself with even more debt so that Canadians don't have to do so themselves. But today we've just learned that now Canadian families spend more on interest on their debts than ever in our history. More than Americans spent during the 2008 crash. Will the Prime Minister finally inverse inflationist policy and taxes that have indebted Canadian families and that force them to give more to bankers and less for the groceries? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, the Conservative leader continues to rise to speak about austerity, and we've just seen last week the true face of austerity from the Conservatives. They voted against helping dairy and egg producers and poultry farmers. They voted against funding for the Plains of Abraham. They voted against helping people from the Madeleine Islands after Hurricane Fiona. Even worse, the member for Mégantic-l'Érable himself voted against funding for the railway plans for Lac Mégantic. Shame. Quebecers will never forget it. Another example. The Prime Minister hasn't even started building around Lac Mégantic. It's been 8 years. For 8 years, there have been announcements and announcements and announcements. Money is spent, but with no results. The same is true with regards to affordability. He spent $97 billion for housing affordability, but what it did was double the cost of housing. According to the Bank of Canada, the cost of housing is worse today than over the past 41 years. Will the Prime Minister finally inverse his inflationist policies that have doubled the cost of housing for Canadians? The Right Honourable Prime Minister. Mr. Speaker, whilst the Conservative Party was partying last week, Canadians were served cold chicken McNuggets. $2 million, that was the cost of showing the true face of the Conservative Party of Canada. When it comes to supporting our veterans, how do they vote? Against. When it comes to supporting farmers, how do they vote? Against. When it comes to helping First Nations, how do they vote? Against. Mr. Speaker, we see who they truly are.
The Honourable Leader